Well, good evening, you beautiful New Zealanders. Today we're in for another great video. It's called The Dark Side of Calls for Equity. Now, you would have heard that word a lot out on TV and radio and media, equity. So we're going to have another look at that today. So what's in the box? In this video, I explain how calls for equity from Maori activists are actually a trick, how Maori activists are playing on the good natures of kiwis, how calls for equity are killing the talent and ability of young Maori. That upsets me. Let's begin by watching a small video by an activist. He illustrates what I'm talking about in this video. It's a great little watch, so watch this.
So with that historical context, and now that you've got that understanding that the government itself has been trying to undermine the Maori since the British had arrived, now you understand why the Maori have been protesting their rights. They have the right to be equally treated.
Okay, what I want you to notice about that video is this little diagram. It's a little bit blurry because it was blurry in the video as well. But have a look at this. On the left-hand side, it says equality is David Seymour's bill, and then equity is the current treaty. Well, honestly, what are we going to make of this? The activist in the video has labeled David Seymour's bill as an example of equality. Equality, according to the activist, is bad, you see. The little boy in the diagram is being denied because he can see the sports game through a crack in the fence. He's being denied really seeing the game properly. Equality is to blame, says the activist. In contrast, the treaty, according to this diagram, mandates equity, which is that everybody can see the game equally. It's equal outcomes, you see? That's what they're on about. With equity, according to activists, everyone is treated equally and fairly. Well, what are we to make of this? Well, I can tell you what it is. It's absolute BS. That's what it is, and it's a massive big dump of it. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. First, we see in this drawing 3 people watching what looks like to be a baseball game. Second, there are people in the ground who have paid to watch. The 3 people looking on over the fence, well, I've obviously not paid, otherwise they'd be inside. Those inside have paid all the expenses incurred in putting on the sports event, but those outside are not contributing. Sound familiar? Third, we notice 3 people of different heights. It looks like a father and 2 sons because they all have dark skin and similar attributes like frizzy hair. Fourth, the shortest person on the left side of the diagram can't see the game except through a crack in the fence. On the right-hand side of the diagram, this smallest person has been given an extra box to stand on so that he can see the game fully. The tallest of the 3 gave it to him, because his is missing, you see on the right-hand diagram. So what is the diagram all about? Well, this diagram is used often by Maori activists. To fully understand why they use it, we have to talk about kiwis and their natures. Most kiwis, in my experience, are generous, they're kind, they're compassionate, they care about others, they will fight for fairness, they were ready to help people in need, and they are the first to give struggling people a hand up. Is that not true? Well, this little boy, the smallest person, represents Maori. His lack of height represents his wealth and resources. He is lacking and therefore can't enjoy the game like the other 2. He is disadvantaged because of his height. Disadvantage is a favourite word of the activists. The game represents life. The other 2 people represent non-Maori Kiwis. The tallest person represents Kiwis with surplus wealth and resources. His wealth is such that he can freely give to others his box without negatively affecting his own quality of life. The middle-sized person represents Kiwis who are just making it in life. No surplus of wealth and resources to give to others. There's no box to give to others, you see. Okay. Now, the basic idea is that the wealthy person must give to the poorest person so they can both have the same outcome, which in this case is quality of life. The tall person has the ability to compensate for the disadvantage of the short person. It all sounds and looks perfectly reasonable and legitimate, only it's not. It's playing on the good natures of Kiwis to shaft them, to milk them of cash and assets. Well, how so? Let me explain. Equality has to do with equal opportunity. Is there anything stopping these 3 people from buying a ticket to watch the game? If they don't have the money, they can't get in to watch the game. I face similar situations daily. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't have the money to get into the game, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not a second-class citizen. It just means you haven't got enough money to get in the game. See, for example, I'd like to own a 100-metre pleasure super yacht. Yeah, I can't afford one, so I can't have one. I've learnt to find satisfaction and pleasure in things I have rather than to wallow in dissatisfaction for the things I don't have. All of us would be the same. Everybody listening to this video would have things they'd love to have, but they don't have them because they can't afford to have them. How about a private jet? So, I don't go around expecting the tall people in society, the wealthy, to buy this yacht for me. I realised that if I want a 100-metre super yacht, I'm going to have to work for it and buy it through my sweat and labour and saving and investment and so on. I can't and won't go to income support to buy one for me. If I have not worked for my 100-metre yacht, then I don't deserve it. But in the diagram on the right, the second box is just given to the little boy so that he can enjoy the same quality of life as the tall person. The short person gets a second box without working for it. Why? Because he's a Maori. Now here is the nub of the issue. Whenever good-natured, big-hearted Kiwis see the word equity, the activists want their minds to be taken back to this diagram. They then want Kiwis to say equity is good because it's helping people. They want Kiwis to support all calls for equity. But the reality is calls for equity are simply a sneaky way of justifying giving Maori all kinds of benefits, perks and entitlements when they're not entitled to them. Equity creates inequality, see that? Because it gives one race of people privilege and advantage for no other reason than the colour of their skin. This diagram fools the public by playing on their good natures, sucking them in. The reality is that calls for equity are a license to justify apartheid and racism. See that? Politicians and government departments have been especially easy to dupe. They don't see the trap or the trick, and they are quick to shell out in the name of equity. See? What's really interesting is that this diagram is conditioning the public to think that equality is bad. According to this diagram, with equality, the little boy can only see the game through the crack in the fence. See that? The equality picture, though, I think is wrongly named. It ought to be named equal opportunity. Why? Well, the little boy has the same opportunity to see the game over the top of the fence as the other two. How so? Well, think about this. By tugging on the trousers of the tallest man, asking him for his box to stand on, he could then get to look over the fence. To do that would require humility, resourcefulness and creativity, three things Maori have not been encouraged to exercise. Rather, they've been encouraged and trained to wait for someone to come along and do everything for them. That's how it works. This is precisely why equity destroys talent and ability. It destroys Maori potential, which is something we are fighting to stop. By fighting against equity, we are actually fighting for young Maori. Did you know that? Maori activists will not like this because they want to give young Maori a victim mentality to keep them down. See how it works? And that's the truth. So what's the lesson here? When you see or hear calls for equity, just know that you're being tricked. When you see or hear calls for equality, get behind them and support them. Why? Because this is what we all should be fighting for. We should be fighting for equality. This call is right and correct and democratic. Equality is mandated in the treaty, but equity is not. You need to understand that as well, right? Equity demands equal outcomes for all. No matter whether you are lazy or hardworking, all must have the same car, bank balance, house, assets, and lifestyle according to equity. This is what equity demands. Equity says, quote, "If you own more than me and your life is better than mine, you who own more and have more will be expected to give to me who has less and owns less, all for no other reason than the color of my skin is brown." Unquote. That's it. That's what equity means. Equality, on the other hand, says all people in society must have equal opportunity. If some people are lazy and don't take that opportunity, and as a result get a poor result, they have to live with that. They reap what they have sown. They can't demand that the people who took their opportunity, who worked hard and made something of their opportunity of it, compensate those who did not take their opportunity. That's equality. That's what equality is all about. Equality demands a level playing field where everyone has the same chance of succeeding. Personal choice determines outcomes. That's it. Not government policy. The root of equity is Marxism, communism, and socialism. Equity says no matter what you put into life, you will be rewarded, whether you're lazy or hardworking or industrious. The root of equality is democracy, freedom of choice, and free enterprise. Equality says what you put into life is what you get out of it. Like I said, there is nothing in the treaty that mandates equity. In fact, quite the opposite. Article 3 of the treaty, where Maori were granted British citizenship, made Maori equal with all citizens. They were level. You know what? Back in 1840, they were very, very excited about being equal with the British. That was incredible. So calls for equity are a clear breach of the treaty, and that is the truth, and that's the facts of the matter. So equity is something we must resist for the reasons I've given in this video. But equality is something we must embrace and support and protect and look after and promote, because it's the right thing. It's what the treaty mandated. So what I'm going to show you just to finish this video is a TV1 news item which was on last night, where the lady in the TV item mentions equity. She actually talks about it, and she cites it as what all New Zealanders should be embracing for Maori. And she says we don't have a level playing field. Well, she just talks about everything that I'm talking about in this video. So watch.
Just days before submissions close on the contentious principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill, supporters on both sides of the debate are encouraging New Zealanders to make sure their voices are heard. Our Maori Affairs correspondent Te Anua Hurihanganui reports.
Did you leave your treaty principles submission to the last minute like me?
The countdown is on.
I'm gonna help you out. All right, get your laptop ready. Okay.
At midnight on Tuesday, submissions for the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill will close.
For my whānau, this bill really tramples on the mana of our tupuna who signed Te Tiriti o Waitangi. We're direct descendants of two of the signatories of the treaty.
He's also a member of the Indigenous rights group, Reanga Take, who's set to host a submission writing workshop just hours before the deadline next week at Auckland's Te Pou Theatre, one of many events like it that have been held around the country in recent months.
People who have never previously engaged with any type of political process, apart from voting, they're now coming in, being eager to have their voices heard.
They include members from David Seymour's own marae in the far north.
They saw that this bill was an absolute removal of our tino rangatiratanga, our right to self-determination.
Over 600 people who affiliate to Tauwhara Marae have signed a collective submission opposing the bill, despite sharing the same ancestry as its architect.
His whakapapa cannot be denied, and we always welcome our whanaunga home, but in a privileged position that he holds cannot safeguard him from the opposition of his people.
One News put that to David Seymour, who said in a statement, all New Zealanders deserve equal rights, and his bill will ensure our founding document delivers on this. High-profile businessman Mike Pero agrees.
We have one law for all. Doesn't matter what colour, where you came from, but there is one law. And the same goes for sovereignty. We can only have one sovereign. And it's totally impractical to think that we're going to go different ways at this stage.
He submitted in support of the bill.
There must be a better way to put this out on paper and understand so we all get equal rights.
It's not an even playing field. And I believe if Aotearoa knew the history of the country they reside in, then a call for equity wouldn't be such a big deal.
A debate that's captivated the country, far from over yet.
Okay, there you have it. Now, the irony is, if New Zealanders actually knew the history of our country, and if they knew the treaty, they would be betting for equality, not equity. See how they've twisted it? Everything with activists is a lie, and it's been twisted, and it's been contorted, and it's not the truth. That is just their hallmark. It's what they're like. Okay, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to keep getting our business cards out. They're making a big difference. Here they are. And you get those out and it's making a big difference. So to get the cards, just email cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Don't forget also, please get some of these booklets. It's called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 Strategies Maori Activists Are Using to Try and Take Over New Zealand. They're 80 pages long and are only $3 each. If you want to truly understand what's going on in New Zealand, this booklet is the key, which will truly help you get it, if you know what I mean, right? You can order this book by emailing the same email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi. Please also don't forget this. This is our original Stop Co-Governance booklet, what it is, why it's wrong, and why it must be stopped. We have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour of 2023. Remember that tour? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these, so these are now free. We want to get them out. We know that only about a third of New Zealanders got that booklet. New Zealand households got that. So all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. You can order this book by emailing the same email address as last time. We want to save our beaches as well, so we've produced this flyer here. We have a MACA, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochures, which you can alert people to about the loss of our beaches. The text is written by Graham Adams, a great author. These are now free as well, so all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. You can order this brochure by emailing the same email address. Again, that's our standard email address for these things. And also our bumper sticker. This is a new thing. We want to get one of these on every single car. New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know this. First, activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We must oppose this. We don't want that. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more, flying all around the place. So we have printed some awesome bumper stickers. There they are. They measure 21 centimeters by 6.5 centimeters. They're $3 plus courier and packaging to get them to you, which is not much. You can order these bumper stickers by emailing the same email address again. So let's try and get one on every single car and make a statement that we are all New Zealanders in this country. We're not Maori and the rest. We are just New Zealanders. So get one of those as usual. Please like, comment, subscribe and share this video. That would be fantastic. That's the greatest thing you can do. Thank you so much for chipping in financially. Those who are doing that, this is a huge help. All right, see you next time. You guys are awesome.